Steve Harris from White Maiden and British Lion. You're listening to Andrew McCasebit from Scars and Guitars.
G'day everybody and welcome to the show. The episode features a conversation with former Fear Factory vocalist Burton C. These days he's forging ahead with a solo career, and that is the catalyst for our introduction. The June 2025 shows across Australia, because bugger all of you listen from our wide brown land. I won't go into all the details here, but they will be in the episode description, links to tickets, dates, etc. Now, throughout the conversation, we discuss the shows and the music that he's planning on crafting in the near future, courtesy of a solo career. But we dive into his past too. It's impossible not to talk about Fear Factory, Soul of a New Machine, reflecting on, it's almost that album's 35th anniversary, if you can believe it. Key moments, other key moments, prominent moments, Plastic Planet with GZR Butler and Deen, Castronovo, what it was like opening for Black Sabbath in 1997, performing on Ozzfest 1996, and talk about 1996, that infamous riot in Sydney that happened when the band could not perform. Burton has talked about it in the past, but he gives a bit more detail here as well. So here he is. This is a very enjoyable chat, I must say, with Burton C. Bell.
Good morning, Andrew.
How are you travelling, mate? You're in the middle of a block of these things, I take it.
Yep, and I'm doing very well, thank you. And I appreciate you getting up early on a Thursday morning. Well, is it Thursday for you? Yeah, Thursday morning for you.
That's fine, mate. Yeah, I'm up anyway. Just I've got kids and I've got to be sort of out the door just soon after this for the job that I do these days. And but it was, I've got to say, mate, yours is. I've done a lot of these conversations, but yours is a conversation I've had my fingers crossed for some time. Being an old Fear Factory fan, and now this opportunity here, so I'm grateful.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for your time.
No worries. Yeah. Well, look,
it's always good. It's always good to speak to a supporter.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's, I want to start off then with a bit of, I suppose you've probably been asked this question, but someone in your position who does have a legacy, and you're no longer associated with the band from which you're most prominently related, but there are other examples of people quitting the music industry and going into real estate or going work for their finance firm or whatever it might be. But you've chosen to keep on going in the music industry, so. Do you feel, what's the inspiration behind that? Is it just a case of you're an artist and you need to create, or is it something else?
No, 100%. I've been an artist my entire life, and there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Obviously, I mean, I've had to work jobs to keep things going, but being an artist is my main goal. Is my conviction, and just because Fear Factor and I have parted ways doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue music. I am working on the next chapter of my career, and I'm moving forward. I'm not trying to be in a cover band. I'm not trying to create FF 2.0. I'm just trying to move forward and create my own niche.
So, look, that word legacy can feel like a loaded word, but you've undeniably built one, though. There's no question. So, look, if you landed on the front page of a newspaper tomorrow, what headline do you think would sum up Burton C. Bell's story so far?
Oh, my God. Now, that's a loaded question. Hometown kid makes good. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one, actually. Yeah, because the reality is you have been. And one of the first interactions that I had with you, I didn't realise it was you at the time because I wasn't aware of Fear Factory, but your collaboration with GZR.
GZR.
Yeah, Plastic Planet. Yeah, and I feel as though it could just be me being an old fan or what have you, but it's overlooked, that aspect of your career, but I thought that was significant. Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely. It's one of the proudest moments of my career to have the honor of working with one of the dark lords of metal music, the man who wrote the book on heavy, groovy, dark, and moody. It's something that you never dream of, and it was just one of those serendipitous moments that just, oh, you have the opportunity to audition. Okay, well, I'm going to audition. Let's do this. But yeah, it's one of my most proudest moments of my career. It's so awesome.
Deen Castronovo is one of my favorite drummers ever. Did you actually work with him in the studio?
Yeah, I was there. Well, I don't know if I worked with him. He kind of just did it all on his own. I was there when he recorded all his drums. He did all his drums in 2 days.
Yeah,
just
amazing.
like,
yeah,
it was a beast. And he and I are still friends. We speak from time to time, and what a wonderful human being. But yeah, working with Deen Castronovo and working with Pedro House and of course GZR Butler is just one of those things that I'm going to take with me till my grave.
Was that opportunity to work with GZR, was that the catalyst for you guys being able to open for Black Sabbath at the NEC Arena in 1997?
It might have been. Prior to that, was that 97?
Yeah, it was December 5th.
So prior to that, Ozzy was on his Ozzy did a Retirement Sucks tour. And it was 3 months, U.S., North America, and Europe. And GZR Butler was his bass player. Joe Holmes was his guitar player. And Randy Castillo was his drummer. And we did that for 3 months. And it was fantastic. He was just doing like small arenas, small theaters. And we got to know them very well. And so we were the only opening band on that whole tour. And then when that happened, we were asked to do that again because, Fear Factory was doing pretty well at that point. Team Manufacture was, doing very well. It received a lot of, a great reaction from the press and the fans. And that was the last show we did for Team Manufacture before we went to Canada to record Obsolete.
Okay. Copy, yeah. Did you get to know Randy Castillo very well?
Not very well, but he was a super friendly guy. He was just really really down to earth human being. I mean, he was like one of those classic rock stars, right? That you've always known about, but he was just super friendly, super helpful, just very generous. Whatever we needed, he would just help us out. We were there on tour in Europe, and it was his birthday, and we celebrated his birthday with him with a big cake, and someone smashed it, and it was funny. But yeah, Randy Castillo was a cool cat. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love asking this question of all you blokes that have had some association with Ozzy, but the Sharon Osbourne question, did you have to interact with her very often?
All the time.
Right.
She was on tour the whole time. She was pretty much the manager. I mean, she was managing him, but she was the head production person on that tour. So I saw her every day. I saw the kids whenever they could be around, and she was super sweet, super kind, and she was also generous with helping us out whenever possible. So I got nothing but deep respect for Ozzy and Sharon and his entire family, really.
Yeah, there seems to be a 50-50 split, though. I hear what you said often, but I also hear the other side often where it's a bit of a terrible situation. But glad to hear for your sake and for the band's sake that it was a bit different because, look, the other thing too is you were a part of the inaugural Ozzfest as well, which I think people these days don't remember back then with the clarity necessary sometimes because Lollapalooza was the thing. And then it stopped, and then Ozzfest started, and that was really born out of Perry Farrell not wanting first Metallica, who ended up, I don't know how they got a Lollapalooza, but, they're a behemoth, so they get whatever they want. But Ozzy couldn't get on Lollapalooza, but that opened the door for you guys with the Ozzfest thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the first 2 shows in 96, and then the actual first tour was in 97. So the 96 shows were in San Bernardino and Phoenix.
Mm. Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
the first tour was 97, and that was, God, that was a time. Whew. That was incredible. There's a lot of great memories from that, a lot of good stories.
Yeah. Did that feel like the emergence of a movement for you?
It did. It was, we all felt that heavy music, metal, but heavy music in general was like being forgotten about. MTV like long written it off and all that stuff. But Ozzy, through the work of Ozzy and Ozzy, Ozzfest, brought it back into the spotlight, showcasing bands that were worth, that they liked and they wanted to share with the world. Like, hey, check these guys out. There's more to this world than that's being offered to you on the radio and MTV or whatever. Check this out. So yeah, we were on the beginning of that wave, and I'm still very grateful for that opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What was your favorite band that you used to like watching back in those days? On those, I know the 96 one was only the 2 days, but 97 was, because I don't think Pantera were on that one. I could be wrong, but
no, they were.
Oh, they were. Okay. Was it like watching lightning in a bottle? Watching those guys?
God, I enjoyed watching a lot of those bands. I particularly liked watching Typo Negative. I liked watching Pantera. I watched Marilyn Manson a few times, but I watched Ozzy every day. And watching that guy, he's just a machine. It's inspirational. And then in a way I am trying to emulate his career moves. When his departure from Black Sabbath and him moving forward with his solo career, I would like to emulate that move of his career. I would like to do that. So it's very inspirational, motivational too.
Yeah, well, I do like Fear Factory's music, but I don't like Marilyn Manson's music that much. But I tell you what, in concert, he's one of the most. It's one of the most standout gigs I've ever seen in my life. Yeah,
yeah, it's all about the live show. It really is. And Pantera is always, to me, I like them better live. I mean, they're great. The records are awesome, but live, that's where you saw. Okay, I get it now.
Did you ever get sucked into one of his legendary drink-a-thons?
No, I never did. I never really hung out with Phil, which was a lot of people did, but I never did. I was more of like I wouldn't say I was a loner, but I was just like kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, Neurosis was on that tour too. I got to see them quite a few times.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know whether I'll get a chance to chat to Steve again, but that's the one regret that I have, is that I didn't ask him about those shows. But they would have been magnificent.
They were, when they had the opportunity. They were playing a side stage, which was essentially the back of a trailer. And one of the times I saw them, they had to go on at 10 in the morning. And I was like, it was me and like 30 other people there. I was like, I got to go to support them. Just like, they need some help.
Yeah, the times that these magnificent bands get asked to play at these festivals is amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very un-rock and roll like.
Yeah. Hey, just talking about these shows then you got in Australia. So you know that people have been looking forward to them, and there's it's great that you're coming down here and playing. And I've noticed on the press release that the set list, it teased the set list packed with some rare deep cuts from your extensive catalogue. So can you tell me about, without revealing in advance, but what your thoughts might be on what some of the deep cuts might be?
Well, I've been in Fear Factory as an Ascension of the Watchers, which has never toured Australia or ever toured the States. GZR and City of Fire. So there's deep cuts from like City of Fire and GZR that I'm going to pull and perform live. There's a cut from Ascension of the Watchers I'd like to play. But when it comes to Fear Factory, there's some songs that probably haven't been played in a while that I'm going to pull out and reimagine in a way. Just my mantra these days is heavy, groovy, dark, and moody. So if it fits that criteria, I'm going to grab it and reimagine it to be part of my narrative of my next chapter.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the two new songs, Technical Exorcism and Anti-DRoid, will you be performing them?
Yep, those will be definitely on there. And I'll have two other new songs that you have not heard yet. Hopefully you hear one of them by the time I get down there, but there's going to be two other new songs that you haven't heard yet that I'll also be performing, Savages and Cold Lazarus.
So to those two songs, they're very different from each other, which I think is fantastic. You know, you got the binary opposite sort of in regards to what, like your musical heritage, if you like. But do those two songs, do they hint at what future releases may sound like?
If you can imagine, no, because I think they're all going to sound different. They're going to sound cohesive. Like, yeah, we're a band now, and we're writing these as a band. But I am gathering everything I've ever done and pretty much creating an amalgamation and sculpting my sound out of everything I've ever done. So Anti-DRoid and Technical Exorcism is just an example of how I'm moving forward. And Savages is a different song from those two, and so Cold Lazarus is different from all of the other ones. So it's going to be interesting, but they're still heavy.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, what about so you were recently inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame, okay? And yeah, there you go. Yeah. And look, these performances, I think you're playing. Are you playing live a lot these days, or is this an opportunity to reinvigorate yourself by coming on this tour and seeing what happens?
Yeah, I'm considering Australia as a proving ground for what happens next. As a band, we've only played 3 shows, and each show has gotten consistently better. The last show we played, we were just locked in, and we're going to rehearse for at least a month straight by the time we have gotten to Australia. So, it's Australia. I wish I could be playing more, but like I said, Australia is going to be the proving ground to determine what happens next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. So this is a pivotal moment for you, do you feel?
Absolutely. And we really have to bring it. We really have to, shine and just melt people's faces so they remember who the fuck we are.
Yeah, you've done a ton of those European festivals, those enormo festivals, I call them, where you must look like you're staring at to hundreds of thousands of people, even though I know there are tens of thousands, but it looks like there's even remember those Donington performances that you did back in the day, in 96, I think it was, Yeah. I mean,
that was the biggest one we ever did. Was the second Dynamo Festival we did, which was 95, and I think there was 100,000 people there. There was 100,000 people when we went on stage.
Is it I understand this? These questions are naff. I get that, but don't get many opportunities to ask these types of questions. But
what, right?
What's when you're staring at 100,000 people? Can you take that in?
Yeah, you do. I try not to look at it as like, holy fuck. When I'm going on stage, it's like my game face comes on, and I'm there to perform. And so seeing all those people out there, I do take it in, but I make it part of me. And then while I'm up there, it is my goal really to acknowledge everybody. Impossible to do, but you can try. And so it's, there's 100,000 people out there, and you're like, yeah, I better not fuck up.
Look, you are an artist, so I understand there's a degree of sensitivity that comes with that. But one of the things that and I've watched enough videos of you performing to think picked up on this, but you never seem self-conscious. Is that the case?
Um, I guess not. Cause yeah, I'm just up there I'm there to perform. I'm in the zone. So I have something. It's like I become a different person almost. I become once I hit stage, I become Burton C. Bell, and that is like a different persona. So it's like I'm up there and I'm doing my thing, and it's like second nature. I don't even think about it. So I'm not really not trying to be self-conscious. I'm trying to perform.
Yeah, well, look, Soul of a New Machine. It's about 35 years since its release, if you can believe. I think I'm right in saying that. It's something like that. Anyway,
It came out November of '92, September of '92. So
we're a year away from it, or thereabouts, 2 years away from it. But still, it's
2 years away.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's amazing. That's the thing. I mean, looking back, how do you feel about that album now? Like its impact at the time, its sound, and where it sits within your story?
I really love that record. It was a great peak of what was to come, and what it showed was our growth as a band in writing music. And I could tell you which song we wrote first and which song we wrote last. And it was, I think the first song we wrote was Big God. The last song we wrote was Manipulation, which I'm not really fond of that song. It's just kind of all over the place. But I think we only played it once ever. But I really love that record, and so much that there's aspects of that record that I am trying to bring back.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Now, it was around about that time you became good mates with Billy Gould and the Faith No More guys. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Billy Gould was already working with a band called Brujeria. And I guess we met Faith No More somehow through. So Dino and Jim Martin were already kind of pals, but and then Dino was playing with Juan Brujo, Billy Gould, and Pat Howitt on the very first single, and that's when Billy Gould hey, he heard about Dino told him about Fear Factory, which was 6 months old at that point, and Billy goes, hey, got some songs. I'd love to record your first demo. So Billy Gould recorded our very first demo, and we were mates with him ever since. I think he did a great job. He helped me my very first recording experience ever, and so he taught me some things. And he was also a champion of Fear Factory for a little bit. In the Midlife Crisis video, he is wearing a Fear Factory shirt we made just for him.
I was just going to say that was my first time I ever became aware of you guys was reading the Metal Mags in that video where I saw the T-shirt. And people forget nowadays, but that's how you got introduced to new bands. It was that co-sponsorship or co-signing by your favorite artists saying, "Hey, I'm wearing this band's T-shirt. Check them out."
That's right. We were actually there for that video shoot. I was standing. I was like behind the camera watching them as they're performing their parts live.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's a good bit of I love when I hear stories like that. Yeah. What about you've done a lot of collaborations? There's the Soulfly, there's the Spine Shank. There's a lot of those sort of one-offs that happen. But across your career, who would you say has been the most pivotal collaborator that you've worked with? Someone that really shaped your approach or pushed you into new territory?
I think it might. I think it was working with GZR. I was already a fan of Black Sabbath already, and having that opportunity, and for the first time, I was singing somebody else's lyrics, and seeing, just reading how he wrote kind of sort of shaped how I started writing as well. He was very, he could be very, what's the word, illiterate in such a small amount of syllables.
Yeah.
He could paint a picture so well. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And sometimes it didn't make sense, but like, oh, I see where he's going. Like, it's just thoughts and ideas, and it worked out really well. And he gave me a lot of leeway, honestly, with Paul Northfield doing the vocals, and he liked everything I did. It was actually a lot of freedom on that. And of course, working with Deen Castronovo, just a super cool guy. And then Pedro House, working with him, he was just like, well, we had so many ideas that we wanted to do, and we tried to get them all on that record. And I think we did a pretty good job. Like that song Cycle of 60, we wrote just like sitting outside in a field under a tree. And we're just like, hey, let's write this. I'm like, okay. Because I had one sheet of paper with lyrics on it that did not have a song. And it's called Cycle of 60. It's like, oh, we should just write a song like right now. I'm like, okay.
What about, are there any collaborations or tracks that never saw the light of day? So stuff that got left on the cutting room floor that you still think about?
No, because we pretty much used everything that we recorded. Roadrunner didn't let anything go to waste.
No, they bloody didn't, did they?
No, they did not. They took everything and they took everything and then some in so many ways. Yeah.
Mate, look, I want to ask one more question. There's never enough time in these bloody things. But, yeah, look, I really want to thank you for your time. But I've always wanted to ask you a question about the 1996 Sydney riot. You know the one I'm talking about. What are your recollections of that?
Well, I was in a hotel room when that all went down. But I felt really bad about that. I had contracted laryngitis from the previous show. Don't know how I contracted it, but I did. And it went down in Brisbane because we did 2 shows in Brisbane in one day. We did a afternoon show, and then we did the late night show. And during that afternoon show, my voice just went. And that night, I couldn't even go on stage. But that was the one and only time Fear Factor went on stage without me. And so, yeah, I went to an ears, throat, and nose specialist, and was diagnosed with laryngitis, and we had to cancel the tour. So I had to basically camp out in Sydney, King's Cross area for about 2 weeks till the next tour. And when that riot happened, we're like, holy fuck, that's insane. We still have video footage of it.
It still gets talked about to this day here, that's for sure. I think it was sort of a coming of age of that movement, if you like, in some ways.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wonder if it's ever happened again.
Not like that, no. So, I mean, feel flattered, mate, that people cared enough about the band, because that's how I look at it.
I know, that was we were just all stunned. We're like, what the fuck's going on? That's crazy. But when we came back, we made it up. We made it up to them when we came back, so that was good.
Yeah, a few times over.
We went to Europe after that, and after I recuperated and healed, to 3 months through Europe, and then after that, we went back to Australia.
There you go. Yeah. All right, mate. As I say, there's never enough time in these things. I hope we have an opportunity to do this again. But thank you anyway for your time, and I'll certainly be in the audience when you perform in Brisbane.
Oh, my pleasure, Andrew, and I look forward to our paths crossing in Brisbane.
Thanks, brother. All right, all the best with it.
Thank you. Talk to you well.
Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that one. And no, for all of the smart asses out there, I couldn't have been fucking bothered asking him about Dino. He's covered it elsewhere, as has Dino. So there you go. Yeah, very enjoyable chat regardless, that one. And I certainly had many other topics of conversation that I wanted to raise. So I do hope our paths cross again for a chat, because let's call this part 1 and maybe part 2 somewhere in the near future, but more likely in the distant future. That's just how these things go. All right, that's it from me. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. I'm the host of Scars and Guitars. Until the next one, it's a goodbye for now.